Hello everyone. Well, I'm guessing there aren't many people seeing this, so rather hello random YouTuber and welcome to a new channel. I've been always fascinated by computers. Since I was a kid, I knew that I want to work with these. Little I knew back then that my entire life will revolve around computers. I went through the same process as everybody else. I mean, get a computer, don't know what to do with it, start writing programs, and become the kid who knows computers. And then suddenly asked to fix, upgrade, or help to build computers for others. I started collecting old parts back then, although all of those are lost by now. Eventually, I became a developer, but it didn't change my love towards computers. Over the years, I collected quite a few items with the intention to fix them and try what I couldn't try when I was a kid, playing games and writing programs on every one of them. I just never had the time. That is until now. I decided to record these attempts of repairs, and for extra fun I thought I would share them online. Worst case scenario, I could be used as an example of how not to do computer repairs. So today's, and indeed the very first video, I will attempt to restore this iMac G4 I have, which has some issues with the hard drive as far as I know, and it is very, very, very dirty indeed. The G4 was introduced in January 2002. Steve Jobs went great lengths about how this design is the future and superior, and how the optical drive could not be operated sideways without hindering its performance, until the very next year when they introduced the G5, which has all the things he said they couldn't do. This model has a whopping 1 GHz CPU and 265 megabytes of RAM and a 60 GB hard drive in it. So let's see when we turn it on. So this is the very first time I'm trying to turn this on. I didn't try it before, so we will see together what happens first. And okay, fan is making some noise. That doesn't sound too good, does it? Screen doesn't come on. Right. At least smoke is not coming, so yeah, I think this is long enough to see that it's not turning on. There aren't switches on the monitor. Right. Oh, how do you turn this off? I have been told when I bought this one, I mean, I paid £20 for this particular model here. I've been told it has a hard drive issue. It might be more than just that, because the screen light doesn't come on and nothing else. So it could be minor, but it could be a very difficult task actually as a first one. So let's get to it. So the computer in general is very dirty. As you can see in the ventilation holes, there's a lot of dust there. You can see the keyboards are very, very, very dirty and rather disgusting in some places. The mouse is in too bad shape, but it seems like it has been spilled something over it. And so generally speaking, it's quite dirty. The screen is full with smudges. I just hope it's not in the computer. So the original concept of this Mac was that the user is allowed, I mean, back then this was a thing, the user is allowed to upgrade memory and install the airport card. Is it called airport? So you could buy that for extra. I mean, this was the dawn of the computers, of the desktop computers having Wi-Fi connectivity. So this had the chance because the antenna is already wired in. So it has an antenna in the screen, which presumably helps better reception, but it doesn't have the Wi-Fi card installed by default. So the user must buy it. Now for that, you need to technically unscrew these 4 screws down here, out of which one has been murdered before. So I cannot really get a grip of it. I'll show you. So you see, this screw is out, and out, but this one here, it is very, let me zoom in. It's being destroyed and it doesn't really come out. So the good news is that we've got the air port and we've got the memory expansion installed, so we might have more memory than 256 megs. The question is still what's wrong with it. First I will try to remove the memory. It seems I was lucky. I removed the memory, the extra 256 megs, and the computer started booting up. It might be the quickest fix ever. I think this isn't that bad after all. Yeah, Steve Jobs was quite keen on saying that there is no flicker on this computer. As you can see on the screen, there is flicker. Wow, it is booting up. Wow. All right, so I disassembled the computer. I already removed the memory from the bank. We tried to clean it with compressed air. As you can see, poor thing is really dirty all around. You see, the problem is I can't remove this connector for some reason, and I'm not brave enough to force it. So I'm not sure whether this is actually a removable connector, or this is something soldered in place. Obviously, I don't want to break the panel itself. So we've got this plastic one as well. There you go. There you have it. So this is the NVIDIA GeForce 4. So it's better than the other one because that has the GeForce 2. So the baseline had the GeForce 2. I'm wondering actually whether this could be revived only using this memory bank, because I'm not sure which memory is broken at the moment. Well, I'm not even sure if anything is broken at the moment. It's just so full of dust that it could be simply just that. But anyway, it is now for sure it is the memory, the problem, because I checked the 3 beeps on an iMac means of course memory issues. So I did order the new memory bank for safety, so we shall see if after the cleaning works or not, but having the extra memory will also help. So yes, let's start with the cleaning. before I went further to clean the parts, the remaining parts of the keyboard, I wanted to see whether the membranes are actually working or savable or not. After cleaning them up, they seem to be reasonably good enough. There are two two dots which are tricky and questionable. One of them is, I would assume, the space, based on the position and the location of the dot. So that is width. And there's another one which is probably the S key, which seems a bit too corroded. I need to check whether there is continuity on there or not. So I will do investigate that, and we will see after that the rest. Clean the keyboard now, the main elements, the blocks of it, and it is now much better, much cleaner. And we are back to white shining position, so back shiny situation, so that's good. But this part has these two straight yellow stripes there, which I assume is sunlight, so it's a UV yellowing. The reason I think it is that because the lines are very straight. I mean, if this would be caused by, I don't know, cigarette smoke, then it would probably dissipate further under the keyboard, but it is only and sharply there where it has been exposed straight light. So that is probably the one. So this will get some retrobite treatment and progress. Now it was time to turn my attention to the iMac. After cleaning it, I decided to replace the hard drive with a new SSD. For that I needed to use this converter which transforms IDE to a SATA port, and it went surprisingly easy. The iMac was able to recognize the hard drive straight away and started using it during the installation process. After the hard drive I needed to replace the memory as well. I decided to buy 1 GB of RAM for this one, although this particular model could handle 2 gigs, but I wasn't sure at the beginning because well, I wasn't sure what revision I have. So I have decided to go for the safer 1 GB margin, and I bought a 512 MB module for the inside and 512 MB for the user extendable memory bank. And it turned out that was a great choice because the computer works just perfectly fine with that. After putting it back together and cleaning it thoroughly, it was time for me to reinstall the operating system. For that I decided to go with OS 10.5 Leopard. It worked perfectly fine. There were a few issues, of course, with the computer. which was unknown to me until I started doing the installation. It did freeze 2 times and then it stopped installing. So it turns out the super drive has some issues. I did try to clean it, disassemble it, but it doesn't make any difference for some reason, so I need to look into further that one. Also, the internal speaker got well, it's just all the rubber around the membrane just disintegrated completely, and it makes a terrible noise. I did order a new part, but it just didn't arrive on time in order to finish this video, but I will create a small video out of this when I put the new speaker in. The installation problem I needed to solve with an external drive. Luckily this model has USB 2 capability, and it was able to boot from a USB DVD drive, so I installed the OS X from there. I need to fix the super drive as well. Overall, I think this was great success. The computer is now working perfectly fine. It is clean. It is just a great tool. I was lucky to use one when I came to this country 8 years ago, but that was terrible. It was a very, very slow computer. I couldn't really understand what's the hype around the Macs, although it was already a 5-year-old device by then, but it was just painful to try to use it or click on anything. This one, on the other hand, thanks to probably the SSD and also the memory extension, it just works perfectly fine. Sadly, it is not really useful anymore in the modern day. Most of the websites are not even rendering on it, and but it's a great tool. I really like it. And that's about it. Thank you very much. I did really enjoy working on this iMac. I really hope you enjoyed it as well, and if you did, please check out the other videos as well. Thank you very much. Bye bye.